I'm thinking it's going to be 3 maps as well. I don't see this going any other way, but that 3-map prediction definitely relies a lot, again, on Most Wanted taking away this first map of Consulate.
That's not real. That's
Oh, wow, he actually locked
He's
in
actually-
the Tachanka. Ladies and gentlemen, it's happened. We do have a Tachanka being played for the first round of this Consulate map. It is going to be old King George on the Rat-a-tat-tat turret. I'm not surprised by that at all. He's just having fun.
the Lord has blessed us with with his presence. And we'll see, is this one of those things, it's like, I mean, we've seen Tachanka used before, unironically, in situations where his turret can blow down an entire wall and give you those lines of sight, but
he's going to be spawn peeking with it. You got to say that this has got a little bit of a joke.
This is one of those things where it's like
he's having a laugh.
Let's what year strat is this? Are you looking at right now?
I'm seeing that this is no year strat. I don't see this as happening ever. This isn't really like a thing that people do. But who knows? Maybe it'll work out just fine for King George. Nope, it will not. Most want to get a drone him, see that he's established his turret, and just walk around. Look at that. That right there, ladies and gentlemen, is one of the many reasons that Tachanka does not see play in the Pro League.
Some changes here that we see as well. You've got King Leo is playing Thermite, Redeemer is on Blackbeard. These are changes as well where it's like, all right, we're at the end of the season now. 3rd and 4th place seeding, heading into next season.
Yeah, I just want to touch really quick on not the Russian that everyone was expecting to see first round on
is
defense.
Absolutely
That's
correct.
the other Russian.
They buffed the other one, guys.
People were thinking cap can. Where's the cap can?
As George said, we might see him a couple rounds. Neglected to tell us that a Tachanka would be coming out. And
oh, Georgie.
Old Georgie. But that's okay. We'll start off round number 1. First bout of contact. Chala is going to see the Ella of Brian. Brian also playing Ella, which is strange for him. Not exactly a role that he is notably known for, as Chala and Trippin are going to get kills 1 and 2 for Most Wanted as both Brian and Slash go down. And I'm curious to know what exactly King George is doing, as it looks like he's been chased off of his turret into the staff cafeteria in the basement of Consulate.
Yeah, and a bit of a failed roam game just overall there for a rogue. They are being forced downstairs pretty early on. Tons of time, but a team kill coming up from Sneaking Nade onto Trippin before being eliminated himself. Eclipse with a de facto double kill there, going to even out the player count into a 3-3, and more importantly, you just saw Avian with a great bandit trick on the main garage, going to get one of the thermite charges. That means this attack is going to stall out at least somewhat.
Oh, a nice kill from the bandit of Avian, as we were just speaking about him, on to King Leo. It's going to leave Redeemer and Chala, as now Chala goes down to the SMG of Eclipse. Total role switches here now, as you can see Eclipse now playing Smoke as well. So they not only are they changing operators, but they're all changing the actual roles they play too. You see Eclipse is going to play on site instead of roaming, and as Eclipse I think might actually have the most amount of frags in North America right now.
Oh, he's been having a fantastic
banner
season.
Year.
I mean, even in that Infamy loss, he dropped I think dropped the most frags of anyone. And here you can see Redeemer gonna drop down and be eliminated by King George.
Oh,
the rat-a-tat-tat comes out. Old Georgie getting that Tachanka turret kill.
Just excellent job there by King George to read the drop and use the wonderful sound propagation of this game. And we see a Tachanka kill, which is something that we haven't seen in quite some time.
I want to say maybe like a season, if not more. Usually we see, okay, if we ever, most of the time when Tachanka gets brought out, it's in the playoffs when the team that's playing either knows A, I am 100% going to LAN, or B, I'm 100% not going to LAN. And this is one of those instances. Neither of these teams will be going to LAN. This is just for seeding. That's all this match means. Seeding and bragging rights, really. But
stat padding as well.
Stat padding, yeah. So you can round out the season with some extra, frags on your board there. And obviously there's Eclipse again with again some of the most kills in North America, putting himself in 2 in the first round of that game. But yeah, Tachanka being useful. That was really nice. I like that.
You know that Ranger from Rogue, who does all of our pre-match stats, who's such a handy and convenient aspect. Basically, you know that he's going to be doing the stats as well, and you're going to be able to see how everything goes. So Also the coach of Rogue, and is a big part of why he's done so well. So, sorry, not our official stats. I realize that. He does the stats. Our official stats. That's not correct.
Yeah,
so,
we our official stats are tracked by
that was
ESL.
that was me omitting.
But Rogue, he does do a lot of statistical tracking, and
yes.
he's a great source for that.
And the coach of Rogue.
Right, of course. He also coaches these guys, so there you go.
Yes, that is what I meant.
Yep. And now, Most Wanted, their turn to defend, and they will also be going down into the basement.
And nothing is zany this time around. You just see Redeemer on his typical Echo, Chala playing a mute. So actually got a pretty normal composition for Most Wanted this time. They're not going to be ruling with either of the Spetsnaz operators, be it Kapkan or Tachanka. And you can see even Rogue itself is going to roll with the typical thing. But Brian being on an Ashe, Brian is not usually your Ashe main. For Rogue, at least.
I mean, it makes sense. I really don't. There's a lot of great Ashe players on Rogue. I don't think they can honestly go wrong. And Brian's one of those guys who can fit that role. So
right.
I honestly can't disagree with that decision, putting Brian on the Ashe. What's more interesting to me in this round is Trippin anchoring himself into the bathroom upstairs. Now, this is a strat we've seen a couple times before, and usually it's not very useful. But coupled with the Chala mute, who is going to also get the first frag of the round onto Slashug, will mean that the drone game, and the castle barricades as well, will mean that the drone game is going to be significantly slowed down for this aggression onto the bathroom, and thus Brian's attempt to clear Trippin inside that bathroom will also be slowed down. So this is a good stalling tactic being employed here by Most Wanted.
You can see they've managed to kill over half the time of the round as well. All you've lost is your Twitch. You see Brian does spot Trippin, takes that fight, and Brian is able to win it and put us at an even contest. Now, as you can see, most Wanted has made it back down to the site, and one of the strengths that this team has is their ability to collapse on the site after getting a pick or two while still remaining whole, something that a lot of teams struggle to do. And you can see Brian now pushing on the yellow stairs. Going to flash off on Chala, who's going to get shot at from above by King George. And that's a great pick from them. Some excellent coordination from both Brian and him to finish the mute off. And that's going to give them a lot of ability to push down the yellow stairs as well. As you can see, that mute of Chala was playing just outside of Pipes.
Yeah, and that Pipes angle that King George just used to establish that man advantage just now is actually kind of frustrating to establish. But meanwhile, Brian going to kill King Leo, who is attempting to come down from above. And now with only 24 seconds left to go at 2 versus 4, thinking they're going to get a nice frag onto Eclipse, downing him in the hallway. And that's going to start to even it out just a little bit more. The diffuser's being planted in the front of White. Avian going to be the one to hold down this rotation all the way from Kitchen. Brian on the yellow stairs going to get a frag on a Thinking Nade as he attempts to rotate. Now it's all down to Redeemer. The Echo drone was not useful in delaying that diffuser plant. And Brian, again, from the yellow stairs, really proving that while he's maybe not the best, or maybe not everyone's pick for Ashe player, he will be performing, at least in this round. Some excellent frags there. I think 3K.
Yeah.
Excellent job.
Really, really great round from him. Was able to dislodge on yellow stairs and essentially made that his office as well. And you could see that it really just speaks to the testament of players at this level. You know, I think one thing that a lot of amateur teams and lower level teams could really benefit from is the sense that, yes, you need to know your roles, and having people that are good at every operator is important. However, having well-rounded players that can flex off to roles that they don't usually play is a tremendous asset. Now, of course, we just saw that with Rogue. Brian is usually, at least on Rogue this season, a support player. We've seen him on site, we've seen him play an aggressive site game, but never really entry fragger, and especially not roamer, which is what he's been primarily focused on so far. And yes, a 3K to give him 4 kills on the round, and we see the emergence as well of Kapkan. So King George going to run the Kapkan now too. So the double Russian operator is in 2 rounds of defense.
Yeah, he was just trying to throw us off the trail there with the Tachanka pick. Now bringing the Kapkan onto the board, he will have everything that we expected and more. Also, it is going to be a first floor defense here, which is a little bit different, I would say, than what most people think is the secondary bomb site. But I kind of don't disagree with this. I mean, we've seen a lot of teams struggle on that top floor hold before. And going down to the first floor, I mean, of Consulate isn't that abnormal. It's not huge deviation. And it will kind of throw off, I guess, the Most Wanted side of things, where they're like, okay, well, we were expecting to go upstairs. We've brought all the different tools that we would need to take an upstairs hold, and now how are we going to handle this for this first floor? That does at least delay the thought process of Most Wanted by, say, 20 seconds.
Right, and just to touch very briefly, while we are still getting into the start of round number 3, the changes that went out in the midseason reinforcement affect a couple operators. First and foremost, Capkin's probably the largest. Number 1, he went from being a 3 armor to a 2 armor, so he's now a 2-speed operator. Number 2, he also got 5 traps instead of the 3 he used to have. Number 1, they've made it so that the laser disappears after a couple moments of being set up, but as well, the traps are no longer insta-kills, whereas before if you ran into a Capkin trap, it would be fatal. Now, not the case. Thinking Nate is going to pick apart Avian just through that cubicle, and Avian is down but not out. He'll sit and wait in open area. And just finishing up Capkin, now the traps do anywhere from 40 to 60 damage depending on your speed, but as well, as Brian gets a kill on the King Leo, another change for another operator in this matchup is one of Ella's mines got taken away, as well as increasing the recoil on her gun, and Thinking Nate and Trippin are going to get 2 quick, clean kills for Most Wanted.
Now, Rogue seeming to struggle for the well, I would argue the first time really this match, but they were also at a 3-4 deficit on the first round that we saw, so there's every potential for them to make this comeback happen. More importantly, they have not lost King George on the roam game upstairs, and Slashug is ready to establish a crossfire on that main reception desk, which means as soon as Most Wanted starts to aggress onto the projector room, they are going to be caught in a crossfire, which will not be very easy to deal with. Now, as the Blackbeard starts to peek around on the spiral, it's going to be down to King George to peek this angle, and he's not going to do it yet. Slashug going to get the kill, though. Now, that's very important that Redeemer was unable to win that fight. King George, a second frag onto Thinking Nate. Shallow refragging onto Slashug, and it's starting to even out a little bit more for Most Wanted in this engagement, but still not established top floor control. A great prone here from King George is not going to reveal his presence. Trippin kills Eclipse, the last anchor downstairs, and now it's all King George in a 1 versus 2, 35 seconds to go. Chala is going to read the situation, hear that his teammate is inside of the bomb site, and go for the diffuser plan. The drop down going to be the main point of focus for both of these attackers. They still have plenty of time to fake a defuse plant if they need to. They're just going to stick it, though, it looks like. King George now playing on the drop down, going to look for the angle. Trippin's on 1 HP. Chala's going to get lit up. They're both one shot. King George very much within his realm to win this. Chala positioning himself wisely on that spiral stairs. He's going to be nice and isolated. King George not likely to check that angle when he goes for the retake. Here comes the drop. Checking every angle. Attackers have located a bomb. Looking for every possible spot these attackers could be hiding. Chala going to back off further, playing this really smart, but going to be eliminated by King George. A nice, swift kill there, but does he have time? Looks like Trip is going to be his round to lose here. As he peeks around, he will be eliminated, but King George does not have enough time to win this round, unfortunately. The 2-speed not going to be enough. If only he were a 3-speed. And that is going to be Most Wanted walking away with their very first round win in this map.
And a really good play by King George there, too. This is the second time that we've seen George play very well in the dying moments of a round. And I hesitate to take too much away from Rogue here, because as you touched upon, the very first defense we saw, Most Wanted was able to get 2 very quick kills on attack, push Rogue into a deficit, but they were still able to overcome that. This time, technically, they were able to overcome it as well, but just a casualty to that timer of the diffuser itself. So it's one of those scenarios where it's like they lost on time, okay, but now take a look. Brian and King George are both top fragging on the team. I think you could say that that's largely because of the changes themselves to the way that they've been playing as their roles on the team. And I mean, hey, Rogue is up 2-1, and Most Wanted will now need to look to mount a comeback onto defense. They're going to run with the exact same strategy they ran last time in the exact same site, and I suppose hope for better odds. This time, big question for me, are they going to play Trippin upstairs in the bathroom? It doesn't look like it at first blush, but that could change as there's still some setup time for them to get established.
Yeah, they're going to be putting down those castle barricades, and I'm guessing we're going to see the mirror window in just a bit. But I honestly have to question this decision process from Most Wanted, because last time they went here, again, it just did not help their cause. It did a little bit to delay the aggression from Rogue, but it didn't stem it fully. And because they couldn't do that, and here you can see, this is a very important fact, Rogue is one of those teams that will open the garage first and then execute other parts of their strategy, which means that they will have so little to think about when it comes to the overall attack strategy later in the round. Which, again, means that this stalling strat coming from Most Wanted, not going to be that helpful when it really comes to it.
I like that in a move that will please Skies very well. Brian playing a Hollow, not an ACOG on his Ashe.
He's been doing some great work with that Hollow too.
He has, and both he and King George so far at 5 kills apiece. 10 kills combined is really nice to have, especially in only 3 rounds of action, especially for 2 that aren't necessarily your frag getters on that team. So, and that's one of the things that these seeding rounds allow you to do, is it allows you to try new strategies. You know, Most Wanted played in the Go 4 in North America's Go 4 yesterday. Redeemer was playing Blackbeard in almost every round that I saw. I don't know if this is a change that they're looking to make permanent or just something they're trying out, because now that we head into the offseason for these teams that will not be at LAN, it's going to give them an opportunity to find new strategies, new tools, because for both these teams, 3rd and 4th is great, but neither of them make it to LAN. You look to improve upon what worked and do away with what didn't. And you can see King Leo on King George proving which king gets first kill, and then Brian is able to trade that off in a 1-for-1. And Slash is going to add to that by taking Trippin down just outside of, or just inside of Garage, rather, next to that white van, and will hop onto his drone. You can see Chala will get pressured from above from Eclipse as well.
You got to question that positioning from Trippin. He was just sitting in between white and black car, and it was kind of an odd spot to hold. That's going to give the advantage squarely to Rogue, but Redeemer going to get a frag onto Avian as he attempts to plant in the front of the white. Slashug, meanwhile, aggressing onto the mute, will actually lose that fight to Chala before Eclipse getting the refrag. And now it's evened itself out. A nice 2-on-2.
You can see that Eclipse was hunting Chala down from above as well, was able to get him and then follow him through the floor, and that's one of the benefits of having a Buck, the ability to see from multiple angles and use the layers of destruction to your advantage. You see Brian starting at the plant down, hesitated, and now pulled up, and Redeemer is able to finish that one off. Eclipse is coming down the stairs, and we'll have 2 members of Most Wanted in a 2v1 in favor of the defenders. He'll prime a frag grenade, but thinking nade just outside of range. Will he get the bounce on it? He will. A great frag from Eclipse. He's got Redeemer now, who's using the benefit of that Mira with just 10 seconds left. The Echo will know where he is, and he's incumbent upon him to plant as Echo pushes up. Running out of time, Eclipse will stop. What a great play from Eclipse as Redeemer goes down and snatches the round. Rogue takes a 3-1 lead off of the back of a wonderful play from their top fragger.
Rounds that should not have been won. Exhibit A. Great job to Eclipse there, clutching that out in the very faint last seconds of that round. And I have to say, well done to put it now in a 3-1 lead. That's pretty significant. That was about to even itself out there, and I was honestly thinking that we were going to see a much more heated match. But Rogue 3-1 on Most Wanted's pick in this ban phase that, again, very heavily favors Rogue. This has got to be spooky for Most Wanted.
And what curveball are we going to see from King George this time? Goes with a Valkyrie, a bit more traditional. Of course, not the Tachanka Capkin picks we saw last time, but hey, both of them worked. He got the round-ending kill in round number 1, and then, of course, was able to do cleanup in round 3, but couldn't get the diffuser in time. Now they'll run with the Valkyrie and head downstairs, and this could be the penultimate round. If they win this, it pushes us to match point, in which only 1 would remain, and you can see the scoreboard right now. 4-3, 2-2, and 1 for Most Wanted, whereas a bit top-heavy for Rogue at the moment. Eclipse has now jumped up to tie with George and just 1 under Brian as well.
Right, but as we've talked about before, I mean, especially when it comes to Rogue, just the fact that 2 of their players are on the bottom scoreboard with 1 and 2 kills, that means they have yet to wake up and get their frags, which means they're just kind of waiting for their opportune moment, and I'm sure they'll get it in the future. Same thing with Most Wanted, though. They have 3 players that have yet to really wake up, and that could spell an absolutely fantastic comeback. And again, got to touch on this. They really need the comeback on Consulate. It is oh so important for them to win in this series.
And the other thing, too, is that for seeding, yes, the 3rd place team doesn't end up going to LAN. That's okay. It's largely going to be for bragging rights and for next season as well. For Most Wanted, you want it. Why? Because let's take a look. You finished 6th last season. You avoided relegations. You staved off defeat. You managed to prove that you were a worthy opponent for all of these teams here inside of Pro League. And now you're faced with repeating that or improving upon it. So far, Most Wanted has absolutely done the latter. They have improved significantly with the addition of their new members and the changes they've made, and we've seen them get better as the season has gone along. In a case like this, it's emphatic. It puts an exclamation mark at the end of your season if you're able to take that 3rd seed. Whether it just be mental or not, it is still significant, and Chala doing his best to ensure that happens by getting the first frag onto the roaming Ella of Brian. and that is exactly what happened last time around too, but we'll see if they can repeat it and win this round as well.
I love the way that Most Wanted was clearing out that roam game there. They put one person on admin office. They put one person on the what would be the upstairs B window in that CEO office. And those two attackers on those windows sandwiched the top floor roamers and forced them downstairs. And there was somebody waiting inside of Visa, or on the Visa office window, and also the piano windows. Just everybody ready to grab those roamers as they made their rotations. So that was a nice sort of sandwich that Most Wanted put forward. Now, the one thing, though, that they haven't done is what we saw Rogue do on their last attack with this basement, which is open up the garage. They're only going to start doing that now as King George takes out Thinking Nade with a C4, seeing that sledge through the piano floor, and just very simple read there. Avian's also going to get a thermite charge. It's looking terrible for Most Wanted now, as they've lost the man advantage, and more importantly, they've also been unsuccessful in opening up this garage, which is going to just tick-tock away the time. As they're not likely to see Rogue go for another bandit trick, as the control is fully established for Most Wanted on this panel. Unfortunately, that doesn't really matter too much because there's only one thermite charge on King Leo, and he's actually just going to fall back into the building. He might not even have any.
And it's your final 30 seconds push right now in what could be the match before match point, or the match before match point. Eclipse is going to see King Leo and soften him up a little bit, but still the Thermite will end up winning that fight long range in stunning fashion. Eclipse is not going to have the luck he had last round to clutch this out. The push on the yellow stairs, not as successful so far, as King Leo is going to get another kill as Redeemer goes down to Slash and Chala picks off Slash. And wow, King Leo, a tremendous finish, and he's able to clean up the bird of Rogue. Avian goes down, and Most Wanted, despite the fact that it looked like Rogue had a firm clamp on that round, Most Wanted steals it, so they answer back. They say, okay, well, you'll steal one from us last round, we'll steal one from you this time.
What an absolutely crazy round there for Most Wanted. Back and forth kills on the take into the bomb site. It seemed like Rogue was kind of tripping over themselves. They weren't really sure who was holding what angle, and as a result, what would have been an easy defense hold there with the garage panel not being opened up kind of fell apart in the last couple seconds. I was not expecting that, just as much as I was not expecting, like you said, just as much as I was not expecting Eclipse to clutch out the round he attacked with that basement. But now, it's going to be Most Wanted going back downstairs for their basement hold. Can they make it work finally? We've seen two upsets of a basement hold so far in these last two rounds. Will we see a third, or are we going to finally see some rotation here for Most Wanted? They actually, I don't think, have won a single defense round yet. They are going to be doing the upstairs, or, well, middle floor sort of bathroom hold thing again. I'm not sure that this really has been working great for them. It hasn't stalled out the round in any seriously meaningful way, but it seems like it's the sort of thing they're like, yeah, this is what we want to do, this is what we're going to do, we're not going to deviate, we're going to try and force it out and make it work, and that sometimes can be all you really need. Rogue might not even expect them to try and hammer this out continuously. And who knows? Maybe this will be the round that it actually shows face and puts Most Wanted into a great spot.
One of Rogue's strongest assets is their roam clear and their ability to drone out all of the off-site members of defense. It's something that we've seen time and time again this season. I mean, it stands to reason. You can see here, it was one of the things that Elevate was able to capitalize an awful lot, was that if it wasn't for the fact that Trippin is so proficient at actually cleaning up kills, they were able to tear apart his Miras. And something that Twitches have been having great success against Most Wanted with is opening up those Miras. And now you can see Rogue is going to have the same amount of success with it. So like I said, if it wasn't for the fact that Trippin was so proficient at getting kills and taking the fights and succeeding, then I would often say that maybe a less worthy pick in Mira and maybe more value somewhere else.
I mean, even if you're going to bring the Mira, do you really need to use it in the bathroom? That's my question. I mean, because now we've seen one single Twitch drone used, and probably, I would say, 20 seconds used by Rogue to open up that Mira window. And now, oh, look at that. Now you have to fall off a bathroom. And that's a lot of utility that you're putting in that bathroom, not only in the Mira window, not only in the reinforcements, but also in the castle barricades as well. And while it will still kind of delay this round somewhat, Eclipse going to be getting the first frag of the round onto King Leo, and that even more so does not bode well for Most Wanted.
We've seen the potential for that buck to be able to carry around so far for Rogue, and it is at least starting somewhat early as we hit the halfway mark in the round. They managed to open up the garage, and you can see that Avian is primed and ready. No mistakes from Most Wanted this time, playing between both the black and white vehicles in that garage. They'll play a little bit farther back. And they'll start to do some work upstairs in piano and in the main hallway just by the lobby. This is something that they were able to do to pick off Chala last time as well. And we'll see if Most Wanted will be able to be a bit more aware of what is above. You can see Brian is positioned on top of yellow stairs as well, which is exactly where he was last time. A preliminary smoke is going to go out from Chala. So instead of a mute, he will run the other SAS operator. You can see that Chala will get picked away at from the former member of Excellence in Brian. And he'll do some damage to that wall just inside of the cafeteria. Rogue stacking up upstairs, and Chalik finally gets picked off from above, and Brian is going to get a spray through the wall on a Thinking Nade. He's down, and they'll finish him off with Eclipse so far, getting every kill. He's just got Redeemer and Trippin left, but Redeemer's going to come up. King George steals the ace away as Redeemer goes down. It's 1v3. Trippin the last one left, and King George cleans it up as penultimate indeed will go to match point 4-1 in favor of Rogue. Or sorry, 4-2 in favor of Rogue.
Yeah, there was that one round that I don't think anyone was expecting Most Wanted to win on their last time they attacked the basement.
I had my numbers wrong.
Right, yeah, it threw us all through a loop though. That's quite all right.
I'm counting on my fingers.
On that, 1, 2,
3, 4.
On that last round, that was a pretty impressive roam clear from Rogue, but it mostly comes down to Most Wanted not putting up much of a fight on the roam game, because what we've seen from Rogue in their roam game is, well, usually 2 people, and they're very dedicated to holding the top floor or the middle floor, and they'll take fights and delay for a period of time. What we've been seeing from Most Wanted, on the other hand, was an Ella upstairs and a Mira window and a Mira behind said Mira window inside of the bathroom on the middle floor. And as soon as the Mira window gets broken, falling back. Now, that means that your Ella upstairs is completely cut off with no hope of support at all, which means that his only way to roam effectively is to play extremely safe, and that's not what we've been seeing happen. So, after losing both of their roamers, one to the Mira window loss, one to just death, Most Wanted had no way to like externally influence the round other than holding a simple anchor, and Rogue is oh so proficient at clearing out simple anchors, or excuse me, efficient.
They were, well, sufficient too.
All of the things.
All of the Ishins.
Yes, the Ishins indeed
Very,
for Rogue.
very Ishin. A great Valk cam that we see there from King George, and second time's a charm. So you can see.
One more time. Come on, King.
Oh boy,
that's unfortunate.
And he'll be okay here now as Thinking Nade looks to pick away at the windows and just make sure there's no peeks. We haven't really seen a peek yet. We've seen some slightly unorthodox plays so far, but nothing that has been too outside of the ordinary, except for maybe the Tachanka pick to start off. But now they will get that door open, and you can see Most Wanted still running the Blackbeard of Redeemer, which so far has not been the best pick in terms of pure efficiency from the operators. Now, you'd see that Redeemer would usually play a lot of Ying. A great play from King Leo here, who is giving Fragmite his name on the Slash. An excellent job from him. One of the most consistent players, I would think, in North America that we've seen so far is King Leo. He does it all, and he is a tremendous asset to that team.
Yeah, he's not only a support player, he's also a fragger, and he has been doing some great work for his team so far this match. I would say that if it weren't for King Leo almost getting another kill into Eclipse there after opening up the third panel of this garage. He's going to have 1 and 3 open now. That's some very efficient thermite work, as well as the frags again. But on this round, they still have a lot more work to do. Luckily, they've got plenty of time. Getting that garage panel open much quicker than they have before in the past is going to allot them plenty of time to work around the defense of Rogue directly rather than vertically.
They were expecting a grenade-style operator, be it the Sledge of Thinking Nade, which we've seen a lot of, or maybe even a Buck, which Buck has not factored into Most Wanted much at all. You can see the way that Eclipse is holed up in pipes there. He does have the ADS, and of course now we'll get pressured by both Redeemer and Trippin. That's an Ash-Blackbeard combo coming at him. He will flee just outside of that corridor into the safety of the office, and will now meet up inside a cafeteria. You can see that King Leo is going to get downed, And Thinking Nade finishes off King George. A fracas as Avian takes out Thinking Nade. And we head into the final stretch of round number 7. As Eclipse missed his Toxic Babe as well, so that's, that's some interesting play from them. Brian, a great double kill on a Redeemer, and Trippin. He has certainly made yellow exactly where he plays off of it. A triple now as Brian takes down King Leo, and we are left with just Chala, who will able to get the kill off of the bird. Avian above. It's going to leave Eclipse and Brian left in the final 20 seconds.
Tick-tock, 16 seconds. Chala going to drop down in the main lobby, but he's got to find 2 targets, and they're going to be playing awful safe. Brian peeking from the yellow stairs, looking for more frags, will find the kill onto Chala. A great round from Brian, a 4K, I believe, and overall going to lock out this map for Rogue in a swift 5-2. Not what I was expecting. I was thinking that was going to be much closer. There were some close rounds, of course, for Most Wanted, but overall, that spells doom, I think, for them in this best of 3.
Absolutely. It was a heck of a showing from him, and also a great play from Brian now. You see that 10 kills, not bad at all. So what a first round that we saw. If we have some highlights, we can toss to them too. But in the meantime, 5-2 for Rogue. Looking very good, including some strategies that we haven't seen Rogue use before, and a bit of cheekiness there involved. Now we're going to move on to Clubhouse for our second matchup, which is Rogue's choice.
Yep.
It's a map that I'm sure with how long they've all been around and playing for as a team, they're going to have no lack of comfort and success on.
Yeah, Most Wanted was not, I think, around for the Clubhouse meta, but Rogue certainly was. They were through it, the thick and the thin. This was way back in like year 1, season 2, season 3-ish, and while most of the Most Wanted players were playing then, they weren't on a team together, I think, actually going through that meta with that experience. They're going to have to, let's take a look at some of the highlights from that last map. They are going to have to, I think, get a little bit of it's going to be a little bit more of a struggle for Most Wanted going on to Clubhouse. And again, this is why I was saying that, you know, Most Wanted really needed to win on Consulate. Them not winning on Consulate, it's going to be difficult. And here's the T'Chaka kill from King George. And yeah, that just is wonderful.
A beautiful T'Chaka highlight. They also picked up the team kill, of course, from Most Wanted as well. Really, really, really good that they didn't have a self-kill from a frag grenade onto King Leo, as of course he's not going to repeat that mistake by not playing Buck. So, look at plays there, and Brian, of course, showing his prominence. And like I said with Brian, too, is that he's, you know, they say that sports players have their quote-unquote their office. It's where they do business from. And I think in this case, Brian firmly made a case for that on Yellow Stairs, especially rounding out the final round with a 4K.
King Leo.
Trippin is ready there, too, and Eclipse is going to be able to punish him and put them at an even 4v4. And you can see King Leo trying to do away with the attackers as they've opened up one of those walls. One of the things, too, that dies with that blitz, down goes both of those smoke grenades. And now Brian, a great shot from King Leo, is going to put Most Wanted ahead by 1. King George looks to push on the same angle. And King Leo is going to do battle, but this time George wins. It's 1-1 in the Battle of the Kings. A good grenade from Slash takes Redeemer, and Chala down as Thinking Nade is the last one left on a King George, and gets King George. It's just Slash and Eclipse versus the Pulse of Thinking Nade. Final push in round number 1 coming up, and this is, of course, Rogue's map. Let's see, Think Nade will hold the angle, and inside a church they will push. Slash will seek the comfort of the bar as he starts to get the plant down, and using the rotate hole in blue, you will see Thinking Nade rotate. He spots Eclipse, isn't able to do much to prevent the diffuser from going down, and now Eclipse will work his way in. Gets 1 bullet pen shot on him, and what a great pistol kill. A silenced pistol from Eclipse, so deadly. Agent 47, could you say?
Reporting for duty.
Reporting for duty, and he's able to get that kill, and Rogue is now only 4 rounds away from winning.
Yep, an excellent attack there from Rogue, even despite losing an entire part of the, like, pretty much half of their attack was just dealt with by the Most Wanted hold in that Chala inside of the construction tunnel. Despite that fact, they still managed to rotate out of that entire attack. It just goes somewhere else. Let's just do another thing on the fly. Why not? Let's attack through Moto. It wasn't even a pincer. It was just, hey, let's attack through Moto. There was no other real... There's nothing else going on there. They just forced their way through Moto door, which isn't supposed to work. Let's just talk about that second. It is not supposed to work. Rogue really should have hit a brick wall there, but unfortunately Most Wanted unable to really put up any serious fisticuffs on that hold of the church wall and the Moto door. That's about it. We are seeing a Capcan, as is being emphasized by Marsu. Thank you, Marsu. And he is going to be brought out on this Clubhouse. Now, I could see Capcan actually being pretty useful on Clubhouse basement hold, because we've talked about this before. You can't roam on basement Clubhouse. You just can't do it. We've seen so many teams try in the Pro League to roam on basement Clubhouse, and I have seen it work a whopping one time. I can't even remember what teams it were. It was so long ago. This was like year one. So yeah, it doesn't vibe. So Capcan traps upstairs could throw a lot of people off, because they're not going to be expecting it. Attackers are not going to be looking for those, especially now that they're invisible. And you can see these mute jammers going to be coming out in an attempt to deny even more information, especially kind of eliminating that drone game.
Some strategic mute jammers there. For those that do play mute, take heed of where they are being put. We've seen a lot of teams use mute jammers very successfully to cut off information gathering on the roamers. Let's say a good example of this was the way that, if I remember correctly, it was Penta playing on Consulate. They had mute jammers equipped upstairs to prevent anybody from spotting the Ella who was roaming. Slash gets preliminary kill. Thinking Nade goes down, and that is your Buck out of the equation. Buck, like I said, not really factoring in an awful lot. Redeemer looked like he was going to lose that fight, yet he persists, and down goes Brian to put us at a 4v4. A fight that I argue that Redeemer probably should not have won.
Well, I mean,
yet he does.
It's of course the Blackbeard shield, going to be saving him. On that angle, you saw the Ella, since he drop shotted, was kind of at a, I can only see the head. Slashhawk going to get marked out on this pool table. King Leo going to be challenging. He has all the information, and Slashhawk the one in the really tricky spot now, as he's pretty much going to have to waste as much time as possible, and that's all he can feasibly do here. The roam game for Rogue being much more useful than I would have expected, but Avian going to be taken out by Redeemer. That's a nice second kill for him in this round, and it's looking really bad for Rogue. I'm not sure that it was the right call for them to go for this heavy roam. Slashhawk going to win the fight onto King Leo. Was not expecting that. An excellent kill there for the aggressive Jaeger play. The Ella going to be very telling of Trippin's push in from the strip club hallway, and Slashhawk going to be aware of that now.
Somehow manages to avoid that first flash, follows up, gets a second. King George finishes off Trippin. Chala finishes Slash on the pool table. So now the mute will seek cover in the basement. We are at a 2v2. The one holding the diffuser at the moment, Redeemer, only a tiny bit of health, and it cannot be overstated that if you are off-site, nowhere near your teammate, with just a fraction of your life remaining, and you go down, you can lose that diffuser, and in with it, the round as well. That's something to take heed of. King George just inside of Church. As you can see, Chala and Redeemer from above. The two newest members of Most Wanted, as some great drone work being done. Somehow that C4 doesn't take him off, but a nice gas through the floor will pick apart some of Chala. And we have two members of Most Wanted very low on their lives. Yes. King George just looking to hold on.
Also very important, they're the ones that are in the difficult position to win this round. They have to push through some odd angles. Chala going to be the first one to lose this fight, and then King George gets his second kill onto Redeemer. I mean, that's very telling of the situation. It's just, well, okay, we're attackers. There's only 20 seconds left to go. It's a 2v2. We have to push into one of these angles. Let's do this. It's the only real option they had. They could only do Moto at that situation. And it's a really, really easy hold for King George at that point. That is what I would call a successful roam game. The round was pretty much over once it became a 2v2 earlier in the round. It's all the roam game. There's not much else to talk about, to be honest. I'm kind of surprised that Rogue was able to pull away such a successful roam game in that situation on a basement hold of Clubhouse. I again, talked about it before. That usually doesn't work.
No, and one thing, too, that worked in their favor was you heard amidst the chaos was that Trippin got a significant amount of his life taken away by a Capcan trap. And that was one thing where it's like you have 5 of them, and the way that Capcan seems to be working at the moment is, depending on the map, teams handle Capcan in 2 ways. Either one, he punishes you for having to rush at the final minutes if you haven't successfully droned an area out. Or, what seems to be the case more than anything, is Capcan works very well in form of a roamer by wasting so much of your time, because you have to find those 5 traps lest you lose half to 60% of your life. And that is paramount, especially when it's something like this. And you saw both Redeemer and Chala only had a sliver of health. It only took George 2 shots to kill both of them, and he didn't really need to miss.
Yeah, I mean,
all he needs to do is hit center mass.
You got that MP5K, you just spray at chest level. You win the fights, period.
So, with them employing the Capcan that way, it's something that I wonder if we're going to see Rogue start to adopt them now. For Most Wanted, a very similar defensive strategy. We haven't seen too many interpretations on what they usually do. You can see that Rogue may be looking for a dirt tunnel or a construction tunnel push, but since Chala has switched off of Ella, which was his main last season, or well, this season rather, but now that they aren't going to LAN, this is, I guess in their sense, this is the start of their off-season once the seeding match is done. We'd heard that Chala was going to be experimenting with other operators. A smoke echo combo, not terrible for them here, especially on certain maps, to combat the final minute push.
Yeah, and again, they've been doing a lot of work specifically in that construction tunnel hold on this map so far. So I think this is the right call for Most Wanted. They Redeemer and Chala have been a great duo. This time, Rogue is not going to have a Blitz. I believe it was the Bird who was on Blitz initially in this match, and he's rotated over to the Ash. We are going to see one Thermite Charge get bandit tricked here from King Leo, so that's a successful stall. Eclipse, though, with the first frag of this round onto Trippin, I'm not even sure. No, that was from the main staircase onto the Jaeger through Moto, it seems. Possibly, it had to have been through Moto.
Through the Moto hatch from
yeah,
above.
rotated over to the main staircase right after. But whatever the case, first frag of the round, great kill there from Eclipse. He's going to be lit up, though. Very dangerous.
Look at the drone work being done as Rogue looks to clamp in, and Most Wanted's going to need to hold on. Most Wanted looking a lot better on attack so far in map number 1 and what we've seen so far of the second. They'll need to tighten up their defense. Now, it's funny because I would actually argue that in a lot of cases, the success of Most Wanted was directly tied to their defensive holds. Avian will pick off the Bandit of King Leo, and you can see the Bird won't fly for much longer. Wounded as Thinking Nade takes him down as Brian trades 2, and Thinking Nade looks for 1 through that hole, runs right into Eclipse, and somehow manages to get away with a kill that, I don't know if he should have had. Chala adds to the death toll as Slash goes down, and we now have a 2v2. The Pulse and Smoke left for Most Wanted, with a Twitch and Hibana in the final 30 seconds. And staying just out of sight very smartly, you can see, is the Pulse of Thinking Nade getting all the intel he needs onto King George. The plant goes down inside a church, looks to bait out Thinking Nade. Great drone work, but Thinking Nade gets another kill, this time onto the King of Rogue. And now you're left with Brian on Hibana, who will need to pick up that diffuser in 20 seconds worth of time. Under fire from Thinking Nade, he pushes in, but Chala finishes him off. Great sight hold, and we have the first win for Most Wanted, as it's 2-1 in favor of Rogue.
So I counted 3 for Thinking Nade. You count 3 as well?
It sure looked that way.
That was a very impressive round there
2 for
Thinking Nade over in the blue room. Now, initial thoughts on that round for me, I was thinking from that execution on Rogue's side, is like, wow, Rogue just got blue just like that? Wow. Or Avian found himself inside of blue, he got that kill, and he established control, and it seemed like it was going to be Rogue's round, because when you have blue control, it's very easy to just push in through Moto with a nice easy crossfire into the rest of the church bomb site. But big but here, Thinking Nade coming out of nowhere, pushing out of the armory back into blue, with that retake, established all that control that Rogue had back into Most Wanted's favor, which swung the round completely on its head, and I don't think anyone was, I did not anticipate Thinking Nade to be able to get that much of a large comeback, but a great play by him is going to salvage that round, certainly. Now Rogue are going to have to defend the middle floor, the church and, the bar and stock room, which is the secondary bomb site for most every team when it comes to Clubhouse. There are only 2 feasible bomb sites, or most teams seem to go for in this map, and that is the basement and this one we're seeing here. Now, the tricky thing with this bomb site is that you have to invest as a defensive team into either A, the strip side, or B, the stock side. It's hard to establish a good defensive hold that has both incorporated into it. And that leaves you open to a lot of different counters from the attackers. For example, they could come in through the middle and cut your two splits in half. Or they could just prioritize, focus on one side, rotate quickly over to the other, while you guys rotate. So like you could pressure stock, defenders rotate, then you just quickly rotate over to a strip attack, for example. Whatever the way that the attackers choose to handle this, they have it kind of in their ballpark. They have every option they could possibly want, and that's why a lot of teams on defense of the bar don't really feel like they have very much control. And it's seen as the not favored bomb site.
No, and that's the very first defensive hold with success that we've seen for Most Wanted so far today.
Yeah.
And comes on a map that
Consulate.
I don't think expected them to do so on, because they won on attack on Consulate, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, Consulate was tough for them on defense, and It's good that they can win a Clubhouse basement hold, but let's be honest, Clubhouse basement, wow, Eclipse, what? Do you see that? He just, okay, hole gets opened by Thinking Nade. Eclipse goes right on into it. He had no second thoughts about peeking that angle. Very impressive play there from Eclipse. Tripping gonna get the refrag on Brian before Slasher gets another onto Trippin, and that's the diffuser down at the front door. You can see there Most Wanted trying to split this defense down the middle and being wholeheartedly unsuccessful. Now King Leo going to be aggressing from down the cache stairs. He's going to be outside of that stock room. That's going to be some good control for him. But again, that diffuser being down in the front door, that means that Most Wanted have something they have to think about before they can even start pressuring the bomb site.
Now a fraction of health for Eclipse. A rare rook from Slash as well, as Most Wanted finds themselves at a numbers deficit of 1. They've managed to do a good job of holding the time off now. You can see Most Wanted struggling to maintain any presence whatsoever on the site and even really inside of Clubhouse. King Leo is in cache, but as for the rest, they still need to get inside of the building. And they've got a formidable 4 to go against. As you can see, all but the Ella are still upright.
Big thing for me, it just keeps coming back to that diffuser. I mean, you can see Most Wanted try and use as much disruption as possible to establish some semblance of control on the diffuser. Ooh, a nice frag there from Redeemer onto Eclipse. That's very important. Didn't think he would see that angle, but he does, and now it's starting to even out a little bit more for Most Wanted. However, Rogue still, again, control, diffuser, front door. Nothing that Most Wanted can really pose to stop this threat. King George going to peek aggressively onto Redeemer, break the shield before actually the knife kill from King George onto Redeemer before Chala gets the refrag onto Slash, and another kill onto King George, and now it's all down to Avian in a 1 versus 2. He's going to get the kill onto King Leo. That's very important. Chala now in a 1 versus 1, very lit up. He's going to give himself away with the barrel, and Avian with a swift double kill will lock out the round. Great kill, great double from Avian. And now we are going to see a successful bar hold. That was not what I was expecting. It all comes down to, again, honestly, that's all just, oh, hey, diffuser, front door. Whoops.
They put them in such a position where it was essentially a suicide run for them to try and get in and get that. And if you're going to do it the way that you need to completely close in on them. And at that point, Most Wanted was at the mercy of time as well as the good hold that we saw from Rogue there. And they just were able to take advantage of it and really bully them the moment they tried to get in. You could see that King George showed absolutely no fear whatsoever as he bull rushed the Blackbeard of Redeemer. And I'm not certain how Redeemer, with that Valkyrie closing in on him, he wasn't able to get a frag onto him, but nonetheless, the knife of the Valkyrie putting down the Blackbeard, and I think when that happened, even though a valiant effort from Chala, those 2 kills ultimately meaningless in the grand scheme of things, because Avian was able to close things out, and now we find ourselves at 3-1. A similar scoreline, actually identical scoreline to what we saw in Consulate. If we're keeping with the trend, Most Wanted will need to win this one, but if not, a difference maker it could be, and then that would be match point, of course, if Rogue prevails. And a Lesion getting brought out from Trippin. I think this is the first time we've seen a Lesion from this team. And one big glaring note for me, and it could just be the 2 maps we played, we have not seen a single Ying yet, which is unusual for the amount of rounds that we've played this season.
I mean, we've been seeing some odd things here and there from both these teams on attack and defense. But on the note of Lesion, specifically this round, you can see King George, he has brought a glass, which, okay, that's telling. He's going to be attacking into the stock. He's going to be executing a smoke strat. That makes a lot of sense, especially as you see the Eclipse now on Buck over by Cash, looking to aggress in there. Avian's just a distraction at this point. That's all he's really doing. He's just keeping King Leo preoccupied in strip. That's it. So because there's a smoke strat coming out from Rogue here, I'm even more surprised that we don't have a Ying. I mean, more strokes, right? Or more smokes, right? And more Candelas, or Candelas in the first place as well, which is just more disruption, which is great. They're not kind of going full force, I guess, on that strategy call. And as you can see, Rogue is still questioning where they want to put all of their pressure. They haven't committed fully to a stock take yet in this round.
And Barstock also happens to be one of those maps where we see, or one of those sites where we see one of 2 things happen. Either it's a very quick attack and they try to get the plant off immediately, it falls apart or it succeeds, or you wait until the final seconds before you can get it off just by nature of the way that it's set up. Now, Thinking Nade inside a garage is going to get pushed. He'll make easy work of Slash, and the Blackbeard falls with Redeemer taking out Brian, and that's the Ash. So Most Wanted looking better on defense this round than they have all but the last.
Yeah, and the diffuser being downed inside of Cash, that's the same thing we saw from Most Wanted in the last round, but I would argue an even more precarious position to take for the attackers now. This is not an easy spot to take, especially with Redeemer now. He's going to use his gas grenades onto King George and even kill King George through the smokes. You'd expect the Glaz to win that fight, but no. Now it's going to be a 2-on-5, and Most Wanted looking great to win this round.
They haven't even needed to use the Legion there. It looked like we were going to see Avian get a nice shot on a Trippin, but an even better shot from the SMG of the Legion. Eclipse is the last one left, and you can see King Leo and Chala licking their lips, waiting for Eclipse to wander into sight. His gaze towards Bar. He'll open up that wall and using the skeleton key get Chala, but King Leo there as backup, and continuing with the exact same scoreline as last time. Most Wanted takes a win. This two, though, both Most Wanted's wins have been on defense, whereas last time around, both on attack, 3-2, heading into round 6.
Right, you are. That attack round was really weird from Rogue. They were spread out all over the place, coming from Strip Club, coming from the cash room, executing from the front door. I mean, they had somebody everywhere, right? They were trying to aggress onto each and every angle, and they got picked apart one by one. With that plan in mind, not enough refract potential is what I would chop it up to be very simple with Rogue's push there. Not having enough people stacked on top of each other, but also just really gotta attribute a lot of it to the excellent play of Most Wanted, being able to win those fights in the first place.
Right, and like I said, it was one where you need to be really strong and committed on that push. Now Avian will run a Capcan yet again. And the last time we saw this, a couple rounds before, was Rogue using a very roam-heavy strat. And I mentioned that we hadn't seen a Ying yet. Well, would you look at that? Redeemer is going to forego the Blackbeard and go with the Ying instead. And then for the rest of Rogue, a very similar composition before. Slash was posted up at that billiards table or the pool table. You saw that Avian was playing with all of his cap traps in very unusual spots to catch them off guard and require a lot of busy work.
And that it did. We'll see if they're able to be as useful this time around. You can see Most Wanted making short work of their clear of the roamers. King George going to be inside of the garage, missing the C4 onto Chala, and that's not necessarily a failed roam, but it's also kind of a lot of utility not being all that useful. Good read there by Chala to make way for the C4 toss. And you can say, again, Most Wanted just being very efficient with their roam clear. Brian, though, going to be inside of this drop. He will get the headshot onto Chala. Nice shot there. That is huge. The Habana, the singular hard destructor for Most Wanted, now non-existent, which means that Most Wanted are going to have a difficult time, to say the least, on the actual site push.
You can see Avian being spotted out. They will ping away, and you can now see some pressure as well. Redeemer looking to come in. Could use some Candelas there, but not really needed. Will go off, and Avian blind inside of that kitchen. And what a miss. Trippin goes with a flick, and just about of miscoordination. Muscle memory failing him there as Avian finally does get taken down, and now Thinking Nade will look inside of Church.
It's okay,
inside
second
of
try.
Armory. And yes, second time is a charm. Now, one thing that worked really well for Rogue last time was they were unable to dislodge Slash until the final minutes. King George was playing aggressively, was able to get back to site, and then by then it was all but over. Now, a lot more control being exhibited from Most Wanted here as Rogue playing a bit more heavy on site and from above. Thinking Nade eliminates Eclipse. A little bit of death from above there onto the buck, and we can now see that advantage in favor of Most Wanted. EMPs will go off, and they start to get themselves into position for this take, and they're bottom of stairs, pretty standard. I'm expecting, as always, a Church take.
Yeah, it looks like it is going to be Most Wanted setting themselves up for a very simple Church take here. Again, there's no hard destructors, so their only real option is to come through the moto door and the main hallway. Those smoke grenades going to cover Trippin as he aggresses in through the hole in the main hallway and gets taken out by King George. A double kill from King George, stopping this attack wholeheartedly. Redeemer, though, going to get the reflag onto Slashhug, being a little too aggressive in that moto push. Now, Redeemer's going to be situated inside of moto, looking for the angles onto Brian before pushing in, most probably, the moto door. Brian, though, going to be playing this slow and smart. Thinking Nade going to go for the drone for his teammate. Going to call the all clear on the back of the A-bomb site, but he did not see blue, and a nice kill from Brian. Will he get the second one? No, it's going to be a down in favor of Redeemer, but only 5 seconds left to go. 1 versus 1. Diffuser's down inside of Armory. King George has the advantage in every way conceivable here, and he will simply wait out the time. And that's all she wrote, ladies and gentlemen. It is going to be Rogue putting it onto a 4-2 match point.
And I just want to give some commendation to King George here.
Oh,
a bit of a disappointing showing against Infamy. Didn't play up to the potential that we know, and I think that was part of the reason why the team struggled so hard against them. But now King George is coming out like gangbusters at the moment and top fragging or towards the top of both matches now so far, and has done an exemplary job of leading by example, especially and most pointedly on mute. That is the second round now where George has had to clutch it out and has done so with very little effort on his part. And now we move to match point. It looked like he was going to be running the Ying and specifically focusing on him. A Twitch will be where it's at. And to defense, Most Wanted will go, where prior to this matchup, I would say this should be an easy win for Rogue. However, a much more, I guess, indefatigable finish will be needed because Most Wanted has looked so much better on defense.
And if we see Rogue take this round right now and it goes into 5-2, I almost want to scream conspiracy because the scoreline is parallel to the previous map, like exactly the same. It's really eerie, to be honest. But hey, you know, it's just kind of, you know what, we've actually been seeing that a lot for this season. It's weird. There's a lot of matches where we have seen just parallel round counts through and through the two maps that are played usually. So, I mean, it's not abnormal, it's just weird. But whatever the case, Most Wanted defending the basement, it's likely they're going to be able to win this round and put it at least into a 4-3. The big question is going to be, will they be able to win their next attack, which I believe will be into the basement, and put it onto match point 4-4. That's going to be the real hurdle for Most Wanted.
And it looked like they were doing some heavy drone work inside of that dirt tunnel. They won't all go and commit themselves in that direction, as Brian has already taken hold of stock, and now they will drone at the bottom. Clubhouse, of course, we've talked about the roam game on Clubhouse before. But one of the things, too, with Club is how you are able to drone it very quickly. A grenade from Slash will miss, and Chala is holed up inside here. They're going to look for a second. Now, Chala was very important and almost integral in being able to dislodge them last time, or being able to push them out. Will they be able to dislodge him this time is the real question. But Redeemer coming in to save the day from Chala, who will now get a little brazen and push up into that escape tunnel and look towards the actual or the construction area in case any member of Rogue looks to come in through that way. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, Brian is able to get down on the stairs before King Leo ends his round at the 1 minute and 15 second mark.
And time's ticking away here for Rogue, as was touched upon, as they're only now just starting to get these drop downs open, start to use that vertical play. They have both hard destructors in hand, so it's going to be a cinch, real easy task to open up those angles. But Most Wanted are playing pretty safely outside of Armory, just waiting patiently for the actual hard push to come from Rogue. And that's the right way to be in this man advantage situation. That Redeemer Echo drone, honestly, has been putting in so much work in this round. Now, usually you see the yokai mostly used to deny diffuse plants, but on a map like this, especially on the basement hold, that's not exactly the most common use, I would say. It's better at stalling up these pushes, and it's doing, Redeemer specifically is doing a great job of that.
And he's proven how proficient he can be at that specific role. In fact, one of the things that we commented on, and it was a change that Most Wanted made, was how much more success they had on rounds where he would play Echo over Smoke. And I think he might be the premier Echo player that we've seen, at least so far in the Pro League team. At least nothing comes to mind for me of a player that is better suited at that role than him. Now, King George moves in through Memorial Room inside, just outside of church, looking for anybody, but thinks otherwise and moves out. Now, final 30 seconds, and they have not gotten those bandit charges off. The Echo is still working away as yokai very much in play, and now they're going to look to try to get inside. King George is in. He doesn't see Redeemer. What is going on? He sees King Leo, and a refrag from Trippin as Slash takes Trippin down himself. Now thinking Nade goes as well. Down but not out. Chala is upright. He'll get a kill onto Eclipse as Avian takes out Redeemer before he immediately refrags onto Avian, as pure a trade as they can get. And it's Chala versus Slash as the smoke finishes things off. And they say, we don't want to do this again. It's 4-3, and the quirks that we had with the scoreline are now over as they break from the pattern.
Right, Rogue for round 1, round 2, Most Wanted round 3, Rogue round 4, Most Wanted round 5, Rogue round 6, and now the one major deviation on that 7th round. And it's a little bit of a change, and it's cool to see. It's refreshing, it's great. But again, Bar Stockroom actually going to be the defense from Rogue, it looks like. So, excuse me, they did win their basement hold, I remember now. So Bar Stockroom going to be the hold from Rogue, which means that there is tons of potential here for Most Wanted to bring this into overtime.
One thing working against them, Rogue's ability to close it out on defense. Take a look at those score lines right now, and you can see King George leading the way for his team, with Eclipse getting the second most amount of kills, but at the very bottom of the scoreboard for him. Now,
I would say Eclipse is probably one of the top performers for the entire North American region so far this season, despite
absolutely.
his team not qualifying for that land.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Now, Most Wanted will need to win their first attack round here on Clubhouse, or else it's over. The one thing benefiting Most Wanted too, though, is they don't really have to worry about necessarily going to a site that isn't Armory or Church, because of the fact that if they win this round, we go to overtime in which all the sites get unlocked. So they could go wherever they choose, and if it favors them, they might only need to defend once, which would mean that they could go right back to defense downstairs.
So on the note of that favor, what my colleague was talking about just now was a lot of people would imagine on a map like Clubhouse, since you've got that basement hold, it's going to be the defenders who are favored when they get if they get overtime defense first, right? It's actually the other way around, because you only want to defend the basement. That's it. That's all you want to hold. The top 4, that bar, it is not a fun ride. Let's just say that. It's a difficult one to really force out as a defensive team. You have to be aggressive. There's really the only way to make it work. And this aggression, at least from King George so far in this round, just is not working. Most Wanted so ready to receive it as they get the first kill of the round. So yes, if you get into overtime, you want on a Clubhouse map to 100% attack first. So you only have to defend the basement.
Which, as you pointed out, is very bizarre, because it is almost always the other way around.
Yeah, usually.
Now, for King George, too, that is detrimental to them because he has proven to be so clutch down the stretch these 2 maps. So for him to not be around anymore is significant. And they were able to get him early. Now, mind you, his Valk cams did go out, so he will still be able to be of use to his team. And there you can see right there that he has done a good job of establishing them to protect the rest of Rogue. At the same time, it is something that they are going to miss, but Most Wanted taking their time to line up. You can see some candles will go off. Avian gets hit by them. And it looks like Redeemer getting a kill on Avian. That is big. Slash runs out. And there goes Redeemer. So the Candelas will no longer be a factor as Ying is off the board. I'm thinking Nade will be the next to do battle here with Brian. He sits just inside of the bedroom. Thinking Nade in the office. Don't know if there's any drone or intel available. Eclipse will come up, so they will hopefully at least be able to get a trade. But Brian, a wonderful drop shot. And down goes your sledge. Off the diffuser in the meantime as Trippin gets Eclipse. And that'll leave Slash and Brian, at which, wow, another kill from King Leo means that Brian, the last one left, and a trade as Trippin is able to get defeated, but King Leo answers back, and overtime is on the menu, boys and girls.
Yep, overtime. So who's going to be defense? Who's going to be defense? Who's going to be defense? That's the big question here when we go into this defensive round. Rogue is going to get defense first, which means Most Wanted will be the ones in hand to win this map, possibly putting us to that third.
Unlucky for Rogue.
Unlucky for Rogue, but I think lucky for us, the audience. I'm happy that we're going to see possibly, we can't call it too soon, it's a big if, big maybe, but we might see that Chalet. I really want to see what these 2 teams can show us on Chalet. All that aside, though, that last round, that was all over the place for Rogue. They seem to be too stacked up by the strip club side of things. Most Wanted simply focused on the stock, cut off the middle in that front door, and it was a very simple push to get the defuse point.
We haven't seen a lot of Chalet, period, this year, I feel like. It's been a map that last season seemed to be played ad nauseum, and nowadays, I don't know what it is with Chalet, but it is not in favor or in vogue right now. Of course, seeing a lot more Consulate. We've even seen a sufficient amount of Bank as well, and a surprising amount of Cafe. So with Chalet, I would like to see it too. And of course, going the distance would be quite interesting, given that Rogue was able to win Most Wanted's map choice, and now we could potentially see Most Wanted win Rogue's. So it certainly is a disadvantage for Rogue. However, I would say that the one thing really working in their favor was the fact that Most Wanted, their attack had not been as valuable as their defense had. So even if Most Wanted wins their one defense, if they had kept the trend alive, they would have lost both of their attacks. But now you see that they are proficient enough to win. Thinking Nade's going to get a leadoff kill onto King George, who was still setting up his mute jammers, and now he's done inside a garage, which is exactly where we saw him playing as mute last time around.
Yeah, another thing to talk about here is that if Rogue is unsuccessful in defending this basement, it's going to be, oh, so much more pressure than just getting defense first on overtime. Yes, that will mean that they're going to be able to defend that bottom. That will mean that they're going to be able to defend that bottom floor 2 times in a row, but is that really what you want, to be going in a defense of the basement at a deficit, especially considering you also have to win an attack on the basement? I don't know. It's a big question here for Rogue. Optimally, though, they'll win this round despite losing that mute early on. And again, this is the roam game from Rogue, just not seeing success this time. Although we have to be fair here. We can attribute them with one of the very few successful roam games on a basement hold of Clubhouse in this match we saw earlier today.
Absolutely. Brian is going to do so much work with that Ella, and down goes Trippin. And now you see Slash under fire from above, but a great shot through that wall. And Chala now goes 2. So we are at a 4v3. And a Claymore onto the bird as he runs outside, and that is all she wrote. And now things all evened up at 3 apiece.
You gotta really question that that play there by the Capcan Avian. I mean, usually that Claymore's placed there. It's a pretty common one, right? It's very expected. And what would have been inarguably a serious advantage for Rogue has just kind of been lost now. However, the diffuser is down outside there, and you can see Slashug, I think he's conscious of this, and he's actually trying to play it from inside of office. He's being pressured from the drop down on the roof, and King Leo's coming from the hallway. So this is not going to be an easy fight to win. Thinking Nate playing this very conservatively. King Leo coming in from the hallway will lose the fight. Slashug, what a headshot before being taken down, but that is definitely a win for Slashug. He was supposed to just die in that situation. All 3 of the most wanted players coming to collapse on him together, coordinated so well. But Slashug not only wastes a ton of time, but walks away with a kill. Very impressive play.
And the final 4 as Thinking Nate and Redeemer for Most Wanted for Rogue. Brian and Eclipse looking to hold on. Now, if I'm Rogue, this is a must-win situation. Of course, statistically it isn't, but I would think in spirit it absolutely is. Eclipse is going to miss his remote gas grenade, but Brian manages to secure a kill through the haze anyway. That just leaves the crouched Thinking Nate as he walks in. He gets 1. Is he going to get a second? Eclipse behind. He'll try for a bullet pen kill. Can't do it. Eclipse perseveres, and Rogue 1 away from putting this second map in the books.
But just as we saw Most Wanted lose an attack onto the basement, now Rogue has to win an attack onto the basement in order to avoid that final round of this overtime, that 11th round. Nobody wants to be there. Not when you're going to have to defend a bar.
Absolutely.
Certainly not. Now, Church Arsenal Room, of course, is going to be the defense from Most Wanted. They are going to be bringing Elysian. The only upset that I can see here, and lack of an Ella, also somewhat surprising. Legion for an Ella. What do you think about that?
I know that Most Wanted's Ella play was largely revolving around Chala, who personally, his feelings on her was that he felt that she didn't fit his playstyle. He didn't care for her as an operator himself. And you find that sometimes. You'd seen earlier on that King Leo was trying to use Buck, for example. Didn't like the way he handled, felt that he wasn't suited to his playstyle. So, Most Wanted playing without both a Buck and an Ella, which is very bizarre when you take a look at the operator picks for North America. In regards to the Legion, Trippin has been playing Amira without fail all season long, and up until 3 defensive rounds ago was still doing the same. I don't know what changed, but I guess there was some discussion, hey, let me just run Elysian, and now this is the 3rd defensive round in a row that Most Wanted has been running him. I don't know how much value you get at Elysian as an operator on most maps, but Clubhouse strikes me as one where you would, because there's limited entry points, which seems to be a good opportunity. You can stack his traps up in areas that you know the defense, or you know the attackers are going to come from, and it benefits the defense. In such a case as this, we can see him that he establishes one in Dirt Tunnel. He will very soon have a second to go down as well. I don't know how well it's working, but so far they have won every defense, if I remember correctly, that they have used him. So they want to stick with that.
Right. Yeah. The Legion play specifically on the basement hold of Clubhouse. I'm not so sure about a bar, but on the basement at least is definitely, I would agree, very useful. Considering, again, it's a very lane-oriented bomb site, it's pretty much the attackers they can come from here, here, and here, and they have to pick which 2 of the 3 to push as a unit, and that's basically what they can do.
I like this very much. They are running a very strong dirt push, and it's interesting because this is the first Clubhouse I think we've seen where they've really quarreled over that space, or that push rather, because most teams just decide to forego it. Not is the case for Rogue whatsoever, but now after a good hold from Most Wanted the last 2 defensive rounds, a bit of a change. Thinking Nate goes for the C4 into Kitchen. Nobody there, doesn't get a single thing, but though manages Slash, and you bet he wishes he still had his C4 right now.
Yeah, a little bit of a failed attempt there, and Slashhook, as a result, is going to be able to open up that armory wall. Ooh, nice try there from Thinking Nate. Unfortunately, not enough damage onto the Ash. The armory wall being opened up is going to be a big part of the attack strategy here from Rogue. It's clear that they want to go for that armory push. Last time it did not work out so great, but I think that was actually Most Wanted who attempted it. So we'll see if it works out for Rogue on this round. Either which way about it, as long as they can, if they can actually pull away a win here, of course that's going to lock out the series, but it would be a bit of an upset, again, given that we're defending the basement of Clubhouse.
All 10 operators still alive. I think this is the first time we've seen this as we get towards that final minute of action in the second round of overtime. Not having the Miro will, of course, deprive them of that information, and no Valk really to back up. They are relying solely upon Thinking Nade to do that for them, as now we finally see Slash will wander in. He spies Chala inside a dirt tunnel, but Chala takes the fight and is successful. Down goes Ash. As bullets are traded between operators, Trippin is going to get one immediate refrag from Eclipse. And that is a 1-for-1 in the most basic sense. Still favoring the defense at the moment. The Yokai will be pivotal, as well as the remote gas grenades from Chala. And you can see that Yokai getting lined up in sight. Final 30 seconds, still fighting through the barbed wire and the toxic gas as Eclipse looks to try to get in. But even more in front of him sit those bundles of razor wire on the ground. Hesitation. And Thinking Nade will sit just around the corner in Armory. Finally, that Yokai out of the question. Eclipse comes in, goes for a shot. Thinking Nade peeks, will win the fight on Avian, but King George rushes as Glaz and down falls Chala. He's trying to do double duty, but from multiple angles, under fire. King Leo gets 1, 2, 3! A triple kill from King Leo! And Rogue is now at a disadvantage. Tied up 5v5. We are going to the final round of overtime.
Oh, and look at King Leo. He's happy about that, and rightfully so. Very impressive play there from King Leo, really salvaging that round for his team. It looked like Rogue had the control that they needed as soon as they had the armory wall open, and King George pushed all the way in. It could have very easily been a diffuser plant and a hold out, but no, says King Leo, and a great job it was. So now the potential for that third map being ever more present, but it's still a big task for Most Wanted to win on an attack of even the bar in Stockroom.
On Most Wanted at, like I said, Rogue now at a disadvantage, having to defend a less than ideal site. They will run a Legion of their own. King George has been providing us with some excellent opportunities at operators that he doesn't usually play, as well as the rest of his team doesn't play. And Chala leading the way at the moment. Thinking Nade is having a baller game, if I may say so. It has been exceptional for him.
Good word to describe how he's been playing.
He's balling out.
Yeah, definitely, 100%.
A good performances from all of the players now. I know we try not to fixate on those who underperform, but I think we have seen a pretty even share of the load from both teams thus far, and that's gone a long way, especially on Clubhouse, as we're all tied up. And this could be an upset in the form that Most Wanted could take Rogue's map away from them, and then to a nice snowy vista in France we could go in Chalet.
Yeah, I definitely worth noting that every single one of the players in this match so far have been putting their best foot forward. I mean, there's no one who's seriously underperforming, and that's great to see. It means it's telling of a very heated match, and that is certainly what we're seeing here. Now, Most Wanted, they are going to be aggressing in a sort of a spread out fashion, but their clear focus is actually just sorting out to be the strip club at this point in time. They're going to have to deal with the bird, though. Avian holding firm inside with the help of Brian. As the Thatchers go down onto the Bandit batteries, it's going to be very simple pressure, likely from the Habana to open up that wall. Meanwhile, Redeemer, Thinking Nate, and Chala all coming in from the south hallway, going to be pressuring Brian and Avian through the wall as well. The soft one this time. King Leo going to get the first frag onto Brian. Now it's all down to Avian, alone against the world, with Thinking Nate even all the way into the bar. Trippin going to get a kill onto Slashhook elsewhere, and King Leo another kill onto Avian. That was Slashhook attempting to rotate to support his teammate, but it looks like we're seeing map number 3 here in a 2 versus 5 now, ladies and gentlemen. Plenty of time for Most Wanted to slow down, pick up their teammate, and consider their options.
Eclipse and King George, the only 2 remaining, will need to do some heavy lifting at the moment. Both players that have taken their team by storm so far. King George puts it at a 2v4, and you can see Eclipse tries to get a couple shots there inside of Strip. This is the opportunity. King George, another on to Chala now. That's 2 for him. It's now a 2v3, and with that narrow opening inside a Strip, a perfect opportunity for him to be able to get the most out of his gadget by throwing those goos down. You can see that he will get picked apart, though. Redeemer both Candelas and smokes before he charges in, and down goes the Legion. A plant in the corner. Redeemer getting it off. Eclipse sees him, and a shot from the Pulse. He'll get pushed from Thinking Nate. Eclipse gets 2. It's now a 1v1, a favor that was strongly for Most Wanted, and it is King Leo versus Eclipse. He sees him. Who's going to win that fight? Shots exchanged as they scamper off. This is as much of a showdown as you are going to get. On the line, Eclipse sees King Leo, gets a couple shots, misses them. Only 1 hit. Now King Leo will scramble to get the diffuser just outside a pool table and a pre-fire onto the doorway where Eclipse lies. 30 seconds. King Leo sees him. They are both so low, each 1 shot. It can't get any closer than this. In comes King Leo, pre-fires the common spots, has the diffuser, inches around the corner, but Eclipse the shot, and despite being down 2v5, Rogue pulls it out, and 3rd place is theirs. They take the series 2-0.
What an excellent clutch between King George and Eclipse. Really did not expect that to happen. I was thinking Chalet. Rogue said no. They were like, we're just going to go ahead and lock it out here, nice and easy. And you can see Slashhook right there with that emote, feeling good. Got to be feeling fantastic. And as again, we talked about this before, everyone on both of these teams performing exceptionally. Nobody really underperforming in that match, but between both of them, really.